Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. I'm Eric, your host. It's an eclectic DIY show. Today, my friend Nicole's joining me. We're going to start out talking about electric car success stories. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I mean, success. That's an interesting. Okay, yeah, let's keep going with that.
So I drive a Volkswagen ID4, which is not a Tesla. And
Sorry, that was funny.
Well, the frustrating thing is that the Tesla chargers are the most ubiquitous, and we have only had access to a select few as part of a pilot project they're doing. So between our apartment in the city and our little house up in the woods is a Wegmans grocery store that had Volta brand car chargers, fast chargers.
Yeah, okay.
And they were more than half the time they were broke.
Oh, it's so frustrating. I have that same thing with yeah, go ahead.
So then I'm cranky Eric. And then I pulled up one time because we can walk the dogs there. We can go get really great food. They have like great takeout food and great groceries. And they have a really good non-alcohol beer and wine section, which I like. And then I looked across the parking lot. It's a huge parking lot, of course. And I see Tesla superchargers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, Wegmans has given up on Volta. And I go over there and they're all wrapped in plastic. They're just still installing them. And I couldn't find any information online about that. And then the owner of Tesla, in a cost-cutting move, let go of a lot of people in the charging division.
Yes.
And then rehired them. And I kept on waiting, looking on the Tesla app. I have the app and it knows what kind of car I have, and it will only show me superchargers that my car can plug into. And all of a sudden, the Wegmans Harrison superchargers popped up on my phone. And we haven't been up to the little house in a while, so we drove up this morning, and I went to the Wegmans, and the Tesla chargers were 12 of them. 2 of them were being used. I backed my car up to it. I don't know if your previous ones I've talked about this. The older model superchargers, the charger has a very short cord. So even if your car can plug into it, getting your car to plug in can be a trip. This thing has like a 12 or 15 foot long cord. So I backed it in, plugged in you could pull out it's called the mini dock or multi dock. When you have a non-Tesla car and you go to pull the charger out of the machine, it automatically also brings out this adapter, which is really cool. And I plugged in the car and it started charging. And I was like, this is so nice.
Oh my gosh. Well, I kind of wish that Rick was here because I bet he has a whole rant about Tesla and how they decided to make a proprietary charging coupler so that then only Teslas could charge there, and then he's trying to make that the standard size.
Well, it's an interesting twist. Actually, I wouldn't say dictated by the federal government, but the President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act includes a huge amount of money for high-speed charging stations, and for, I believe, I read this, for Tesla to get some of that money, they had to make their chargers open to a lot more vehicles, non-Tesla vehicles. So this is part of that, I think. It's called the version 4 superchargers I think it's called the multi-dock, for a lack of a better word. And now all the manufacturers are moving toward the Tesla plug, which is called an NACS something or other. And I'm fine with that. It's like, it's really baby steps. Like when electricity in your home first came out, there were all sorts of different plugs.
Well, and right now I'm going to put a plug in, see what I did there, for regulators. I know one. Yeah. And they're very considered. They're trying to do their best. And, it's the Wild West. And so, yeah, the way we ended up with standardized gas, when you go to get gas in your car is
gas nozzles.
Somebody said the nozzles have to look like this. They have to pump this fast and yada, yada, yada. Sometimes you need the guidance.
Yeah, people rail against the government, but they make the highways, you know,
all day long.
and they keep. It's a much safer country than a lot of other countries right now. So yeah.
So in e-car news, because this isn't Garden Fork anymore, it's e-car fork. Um, you guys know I've loved the Leaf. We've started to dislike the Leaf, and let
You're a
me tell you
Nissan Leaf
why.
car.
Yeah, the Nissan Leaf, which we named. I guess we shouldn't have named it Little Bob Leafy, um, because the way the windshield is angled, the bars that go down to hold the windshield, I don't know what those are called, but they sit right where people are in the crosswalk. And both Brent and I have both almost run people over. We're very conscientious
Oh, okay.
drivers.
Yes,
We're
yes.
slow, and we definitely are always looking for people and children and dogs. And you just can't, it's a blind spot on both sides. And, it happened to me a couple times and then it happened to Brent. And then finally we are like, well, this isn't sustainable. We need a different thing. So looking at different electric car options,
Could I interject real quick?
please.
So, what we're talking about are the A columns on the car, which is the piece of steel between the windshield and the car doors. And they can create a blind spot. And I have that very similar blind spot, actually. But go ahead.
Well, so kind of looking around, trying to figure out what to do, there was a great article in, well, I don't know where it was. Maybe it was the Post, but this guy was making the point that you can get a really cheap electric car now, like these older Nissan Leafs and Fiat 500s. I mean, you can get an electric car for $2,500. Everybody thought that the batteries weren't going to last that long. Now, of course, their distance you can drive goes down, but the batteries are lasting longer than everybody expected. And so I thought about it. I was like, well, do we just get like a little Fiat 500? It'd be so cute.
Yeah, yeah. You and your kids
Uh,
in that. Beep, beep.
exactly. I
Yeah.
know. But the boys are getting they're almost taller. Oh, Oscar's almost taller than me.
Yeah.
So they're just going to keep growing like weeds.
Stop feeding
So
them.
stop. Exactly. Save some money. So anyway, looking around, the Volvo has a XC40
Hmm.
Recharge that's fully electric. So I found one of those. So we're gonna go look at that today and possibly dump the Leaf and get that. I drove one and I really liked it. I really liked it. I could really see out of it, and it had kind of all the things that. The only thing that I really like about the Nissan Leaf is on the steering column, there's a skip 30 seconds button. So I can skip ads on podcasts,
Oh,
says the podcaster. Um, but other than that, I'm just like, so anyway, we'll see if we end up dumping the Leaf today and buying this Volvo, which also a Volvo sounds nice. I don't know.
the blind spot on cars is a huge deal. We have on Fourth Avenue in Brooklyn, we have a set aside bike lane. So imagine the car lane. I'm driving in the car lane. Then there's cars parked. Then there's a bike lane. Then there's the sidewalk.
Okay.
So when I make a right turn, I have to go. What the problem is they've cordoned off. They've marked off with paint the last parking spot on every block to allow you to see a bike coming, and people park there.
Right,
They
right.
park there
Because
anyway, and because nothing's enforced, it just happens. So when you make the right turn, I slow almost to a stop because I've almost clipped a couple bikes to make sure a bike isn't coming. But it's that same thing. It's that A column coming down,
it's
and
so scary.
yeah, yeah,
Well, along the lines of the police enforcing things, it's interesting. I've been saying for years in DC police stopped enforcing traffic laws in 2020. And big article, the new chief of police, she's come out and she's reassigning police to do traffic beats, which again, we haven't had since 2024. We do have a ton of cameras, and that's what they've been using instead of actual people, actual, police
right.
officers. So we'll see how this works. And she's also started doing mass stops where like she'll just shut down the whole road and everybody gets checked for everything. Like
Yeah,
that way there's no bias. Like you happen to be driving down this road,
right.
you're getting checked. So we'll see how that does because to channel Rick a little bit, like these people are driving crazy out here.
And they're covering up or distorting their license plates.
Oh, the license plate thing kills me.
I just don't understand that. That's just I just you're it to me it means you're going to commit a crime, and I just don't. I thankfully none of my friends do that because I would call them out on that. It's just if the bigger picture, we all have to use the roads, and
Right.
man.
No, a
Anyway,
dear friend was like, he got a bunch of tickets and he's like coming over to our house and he's like, well, there's one here and there's one here. And he's like, I don't know how to keep from getting those tickets. And I was thinking in my head, don't speed.
yeah,
I haven't got any. I live
there
here.
there is a school, which I didn't even know was a school, on Hamilton Parkway. If anyone knows it, it's underneath the BQ near the Home Depot. And it's a fast road. The speed limit is 25, and I think I go 35. And I didn't know there's a school there, and I got 2 school zone tickets because they have the automatic cameras.
15 miles an hour school zone.
I'm not sure because
Mm.
the camera operator pays them and then says, "Hey, I just had to pay 2 of your tickets." But there's a school. They're taking buildings that weren't schools before and making them into grade schools because of just the amount of kids in New York City now. And there's not always a obvious, it doesn't look like a school with the parapet
Right.
walls and stuff, or a bunch of kids waiting outside, or. So I have to go find out which building has the school in it.
Where is this school? Uh,
Because yeah, my license plates are front and center, and I'm like,
well, we went on part 2 of the Great Road Trip and we rented a Chrysler minivan. I don't remember what they're called.
uh-huh.
So I rent this car, I get in it, the boys are in it, we're headed to Michigan. The car starts beeping at me loudly. And so, I pull over, I try and figure out what the beep is, and it says it needs an oil change. So I end up calling the car place back, the rental place. I bring the car back, we change it out. I was like, this thing needs there's no way to turn this beep, beep, beep off. It's really loud, and there's no way to turn it off. Okay, so they give me another car. So I turn around and we get back on the road and the beep, beep, beep goes off and I like lose it. So I call Brent a little bit frantic because he's not with us because I'm taking the boys to drop him off. And I was like, this car is beeping at me. What am I going to do? This is the second one we've had. And so he Googles it up for me. And I'm turning around and going back and it beep, beep, beeps at the same place. Well, the internal nav system alerts you to speed cameras.
Oh,
And that is the beep, beep, beep speed camera noise. Now, luckily, you can turn it off.
uh,
And Brent was able to walk me through, like, go through this setting, turn it off. But it's a known problem with these minivans that since 2017, that frequently it'll just start beeping and there's no way to turn it off and people can't figure out why it's beeping. Luckily, this car did not beep at me again. And, we went together, I don't know, probably 2,500 miles.
ah,
But the part 2 of the Great Road Trip was excellent. I drove them to Michigan, dropped them off, and then I made my way to St. Louis where I picked up my sister and nephew, and we went to Arkansas and we went fishing and we sprinkled Grammy and completed that task. And then reversed back up. But if I had known about the Waffle House by the airport, we would have gone there.
so we might have been in St. Louis the same day.
Yeah, I think so. So tell me when you were. Do you remember?
I can look at the calendar. The Squadcast is not going to like it. I was in St. Louis Friday, August 16th, 17th, and 18th. Sunday is the 18th.
Yeah, I was there Yes, I was there the 16th. That's when I dropped them back off,
Wow.
and I headed back. I ended up driving all the way to Joliet that day.
Oh,
I
the
had
prison.
yeah, I had a bad experience in Springfield at a hotel where the door wouldn't lock. There was a used Q-tip, and anyway, it was a bad situation. I had like visions of like middle-aged mom killed in hotel, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't
Yeah.
need to have that thought. I'm going to get back on. Brent was like, yep, nope, we're going to eat that and we're going to move it along and find another hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting better at letting it go. It's like just move on. So
Yeah.
But
It's
the
not worth it.
but you spread your grandmother's ashes. Was that?
Yeah, my grandmother went fishing on the White River starting, we think, in 58. And she went with a boyfriend. He flew her down from St. Louis, and she fell in love with fishing.
Uh-huh.
And so they would go. So the White River, there's the main resort, or the premier resort is Gaston's, and they
Yes.
have you can fly, exactly. You can fly in. And they've got these cabins, and then you get a guide. And so they had Grammy's file from 58, and they know all the people she's fished with. And
Ah.
so I had gone fishing with her twice or three times. And one time when I was pregnant, my mother went when she was pregnant with me, with her. The last time we went, she was 90. And my two brothers and I went down there. Um, so she always wanted to be sprinkled in the White River. That was her goal. So I was a little worried that the guides would be weird about it. Oh no, 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 no. Frank was like, "Yep, let's do this.
Ah.
Bring your cremains. I want to be sprinkled here too." So that was, and then my sister and nephew. My nephew really got into the fishing. He's like, "This is great." Well, of course, fishing with a guide is great. He's like
Yes.
putting you know, dealing with all the bait and getting dirty and taking the fish off the hook and we didn't keep any. We threw them all back.
Catch and release.
Cash and release. Yep. But Frank was there. I had fished with Frank before with Grammy, and he remembered Grammy, which was, I'm sure he sees thousands of people, right?
Yep.
But it was nice that he remembered Graham, and yeah. So it was really good. It was really good, and that had been on my to-do list for 6 years. So I did feel bad about that.
Wow, cool. I'm very intrigued by the composting. In New York State, you can be composted now. They have these set aside areas where it's a company that runs it, or an organization, and they dig a hole and put you in there, and boom, you're done.
Yeah, the Zoroastrians, which is a religion in Iran, Middle East. It's a very old religion. They put people similarly up in the sky and lay their bodies, like it's only certain people or priests are allowed to go up there, and then ravens and what raven and what's the other big black bird?
Vultures.
Crows and vultures actually eat the bodies, and that's their method of disposal. But there's a bird problem, and the birds are dying.
Wow. Wow. This is like.
Well, okay, all right. This is wide ranging.
Yes, it is.
I'm here for it.
So let's pivot to growing garlic. Would you like to do that?
Oh gosh, I love garlic, and somebody in my family can't eat it. They're slightly allergic to it. They don't like going to anaphylactic shock, but it does not agree with them. I love garlic. Say more.
I've been buying up garlic at the. I also talk about the food co-op, but I've been buying big heads of what I assume is like an heirloom type garlic from the food co-op and also from the farmers market in Brooklyn.
Wait, so when you're there working at the co-op, you're like, "Hey, there's a big one. I'm going to save that one and buy it."
I'll get to that. And because seed garlic online is from the gardening companies is quite expensive, and I don't blame them. They need to make a profit. But I like this because it's very local. I mean, it's from up, like in New Paltz is where my Ray Bradley's farm is. So I've been buying from 3 different sources, and then from my friend up here in Connecticut who grows as well. And I don't even label the garlic when I put them in rows. I just see what grows really well, and I keep growing those for whatever that is. I try and save some of the seed from that. And I just introduce stuff that I bought at the market or something. And I think that's kind of a big fun experiment. And the food co-op is perfect for that.
Well, you've been growing garlic for a long time.
I love it because it's so darn easy,
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
plant it in the fall. It has very few parasites or pests. And then the hardest thing is when you harvest it, there's like this sweet moment. And then if it's too far gone, it starts to disintegrate in the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what happens if you leave it there? Will it re-germinate the next year or is it
Yeah, you
done?
get this sprout of what looks like scallions coming out I miss some bulbs when I'm harvesting. I miss some bulbs invariably, and then they sprout in the spring, and each of the cloves has sprouted. So you get what looks like a bunch of scallions, which you can eat. You can pull them out, and if you wanted to peel the skin off, you could have it like mini garlics. You know?
Well, and are those like garlic scapes where you can eat the?
No,
No, that's different. Okay.
the scape is essentially the flower, and the this basically the top of the stem of the garlic has a very small, obscure flower, but after a moment, it starts to curl and bend down. It like curls probably 2 or 3 times and then bends down. That's when you harvest scapes because they're super tasty. The simplest way is if you sear them on the grill or on a pan on the stove and just some salt, and that's the way I eat them.
Have you seen these new grills that are flat? They're
Yeah, it's
like,
a griddle. Yep.
do you guys have one of those?
No, I'm actually going to make a new pizza oven that has a big plate of steel instead of brick to see what that's like.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. Oh, I wonder if you could use that griddle thing to make a pizza oven.
Working on it. So
Okay, well, I'm excited about that.
the Kenji Lopez Alt, who's a big food guy, he says the best way to cook a steak or a hamburger is in a cast iron pan, and a griddle is essentially the same thing. What I like about griddle cooking is you can throw down a ton of vegetables and none of them fall through the little bars.
Yes, right.
And you don't get some of the charcoal flame sear, but you do get sear from the griddle. Um, and
I
I
don't really
like that.
want the sear. I want the caramelization. So yeah,
Right.
that tracks for me.
And it's a lot easier to clean.
Huh.
You just take like a pastry knife, a pastry blade, and you just or a wide spatula, or you could even a steel wool pad, stainless steel or something.
Now, do you think you can retrofit like a fancy Weber grill with, do you think they make those for it?
If they don't, you can get someone to make it. It's just a piece of 1/4 inch steel.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
If
And you
there's
get some iron.
yeah, probably. Oh, yes. If there's a local welder around you, they might have a piece of scrap and you say, hey, could you cut this into a 14-inch diameter?
Okay.
Or if you have a square grill, hey, you could bring in the top of the grill or measure and go, I want to make this a griddle. And they're like, oh, okay. And they'll just,
I have
they,
a I have a grill story.
okay, please.
So years ago, this is back when we lived in DuPont Circle on a third floor walk up with a deck, a big deck. We had an amazing like Parisian apartment in DuPont. We got really lucky.
Wow.
And we were looking for furniture for it. So I was going to like estate sales or whatever. So I go to this estate sale that's in Georgetown in a high rise. And I guess technically the West End. Anyway, I go up there. I have forgotten my phone. So this is you can tell how long ago this was, right?
Yeah.
Like forgot my phone. And they don't have any furniture, but they have this brand new like platinum Weber grill that they're selling for cheap. And so the story was her parents had just bought it and then, and I guess her dad died. So the daughter was trying to unload everything and I saw it and I was like, gosh, we really could use a grill. It's a really nice grill. So I go down to the concierge and I'm like, hey, I forgot my phone. Could I call my husband? I just need to ask him if I can buy this insanely priced grill that's like a really, really, really amazing deal. So the concierge says to me, oh, I was here when that was delivered. If you don't buy it, I'm buying it. So I called Brent and it was like, this was the last grill. This is our this is our last grill. So Brent had to replace the flavor bars. Is that a
Yes.
thing? And he ended up looking up like our grill and he's like, yeah, that was a very expensive grill. You got a really good deal on that. So the
Really?
guys,
Yeah.
I had to hire movers to move it up the stairs.
Yeah, they,
Um,
they can be big.
oh my gosh. But I love it. I love my deal of a grill.
The gas grills, they have these, I think they're stainless steel tubes with little holes in them, and that's where the flame comes out to cook. And some inventor or someone at one of the gas grill companies realized if you just put a piece of steel angle iron over the flame, it would keep fat from the meat or whatever from dripping in and extinguishing the little flames and clogging up the grill.
Oh.
And then they called them flavor bars because the fat from the burger or whatever would hit that piece of metal and then flame a little bit, and so it was like imparting flavor to the burger. And I don't know if that's a real thing.
Is that
or
even
not.
real?
Yeah.
Well, so they sent us the wrong flavor bars, and they're very heavy, like you said. They're like, pieces of steel. So, Brent called them up and was like, hey, wrong ones. What do we do? And they're like, oh, we'll send you the right ones. You're right. We sent you the wrong ones. And he's like, what do you want me to do with these? And they're like, oh, just, whatever you want. They were like $300.
Well,
they're like, get rid of them. But cheaper than sending them back to him, obviously.
yeah, the shipping would be big. And then, yeah, unfortunately, in our economy.
Then you have used flavor bars. Like, who's going to buy that? I don't know. Somebody on my listserv, hopefully, is going to buy them.
Oh, and the after show, I want to talk about some of my experiences with the Buy Nothing app.
Oh, I can't wait. I love this stuff.
That'll be, if you want to all support the show, I ask for a cup of coffee a month. We work through Patreon. You go to patreon.com/gardenfork for that. And yeah, I think I just posted a video of the Labradors swimming, I think. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that one, but I always like the pictures of the dogs.
Yeah. Well, if you guys have a gas grill story or a electric car or a blind spot story, we would love to hear that. It's radio@gardenfork.tv. That would be fun to hear. Maybe you could even record a message on your phone and mail it to us. That would be fun, and we would play it on the air.
We haven't done any reader. You used to do that occasionally, like
viewer mail.
Yeah, viewer mail. Yeah.
We haven't gotten any. That's why.
Oh, really? That's so sad. It's heartbreaking.
We're lonely.
Send us some email, please.
All right, cool. We're going to stick around for the after show. Really, any thoughts? It doesn't even have to be about electric cars or traffic cameras. It's radio@gardenfork.tv. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you later.
Talk to you soon.
Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. Our executive producer is Jimmy Goots. For more information about Jimmy and the custom hollow books he makes, visit hollowbooks.com. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.